just hours ago, a major break in the search for Tulsa's serial attacker.
Today, charges were presented on a person who is accused of committing 7 sexual assaults in Tulsa beginning June 5th of this year.
Tulsa Police Chief Chuck Jordan announcing Desmond Campbell as the prime suspect. And word traveled fast through neighborhoods rocked by terror.
I'm kind of upset, you know, it's 8 women or 7 women later, but I'm very pleased that he's caught.
Right now at 5, we have a team of reporters and digital journalists behind the scenes dedicated to this story that has rocked the city for nearly an entire month. Our team starts with 2 News reporter Max Resnick, who tells us how police say they got their man. Max?
Tulsa police say Desmond Campbell crashed his car into a light pole on I-44 Sunday morning around 5:45, just 10 minutes after the last reported assault near 11th and Memorial. He's in the hospital, he's in critical condition, and he is unresponsive.
So that's what OHP put in their report.
At a news conference Thursday afternoon, Tulsa Police Chief Chuck Jordan announced 30-year-old Desmond Campbell is their serial sexual assault suspect.
As in all cases of serious crime, any possible evidence is examined in the Tulsa Police Lab and then is often forwarded to OSBI for additional examination. As a result of these examinations, Desmond Campbell was identified as a possible suspect.
After OSBI identified Campbell, a Tulsa investigator Googled Campbell's name Tuesday and realized he'd been in a car wreck on I-44.
The accident occurred at 5:45 hours a.m. Sunday morning, 10 minutes after a sexual assault was reported at 1200 South 75th East Avenue at 5:35.
At 10 o'clock this morning, OSBI confirmed TPD's evidence matched Desmond Campbell. Campbell now faces charges on 7 sexual assaults dating back to June 5th. The task force set up to track down the suspect will be disbanded, and officers will return to their normal work.
Well, they spend a lot of time on static surveillance, looking for people to pass by, to come into neighborhoods. Some of the most boring police work you can possibly do. It's mind-numbing. And they stayed alert, they stayed the course, and did what they were supposed to do, and I'm proud of them.
Campbell is not officially under arrest, but is being monitored by Tulsa police at an area hospital. Assistant District Attorney Steve Kunzweiler says he can't see charges being drawn up prior to Monday. Coming up tonight at 6, whether TPD ever got a tip that Campbell was the suspect. Live downtown, Max Resnick, 2 News works for you.
All right, Max, thanks. Now, we have in-depth information on the suspect, Desmond Campbell. Campbell has a criminal record. He's been in prison since March of 2007 for attempted robbery and attempted kidnapping. He was released from prison on April 21st, just 7 weeks before the first reported assault. Well, we continue our live team coverage tonight, digging deeper into the serial attacker and the events leading up to his capture. 2 News investigator Marla Carter is live tonight at 129th and Admiral. Marla?
Desmond Campbell's car is in this impound lot. As Max mentioned, he got into an accident on Sunday at I-44 in Sheridan. Here's video of that car. As you can see, it's pretty banged up. And tonight, he is still in critical condition and unresponsive. In fact, OHP says it had to use the jaws of life just to get Campbell out of the car. The police chief says they don't know why he crashed, but say he might have fallen asleep. Now, Campbell has a Tulsa address on his license, but police say he wasn't living at that address. We did mention he has quite a rap sheet. Now, coming up tonight on 2 News at 6, the 2 News investigators dig into his criminal history. We'll bring you the latest coming up tonight at 6. Reporting live in East Tulsa, Marla Carter, 2 News works for you.
All right, Marla, thanks. Now we want to head to Liz Bryant, the only reporter to talk with these victims since the story broke. She's live tonight with more about what they're saying. Liz?
First, they're saying that they can't go on the news, they can't talk to us on camera because police asked them not to in fear of jeopardizing this case, especially if it's to go to trial. But a woman told me on the phone she's obviously relieved. She also has a lot of unanswered questions. Why her? Why all these women? Why did he feel the need to do this, especially to women typically over 50 years old? Let me take you back to the second week of June when I sat in the living room of 62-year-old Roberta Osborne. Roberta, furious at the attacker, furious at herself. She felt like she could have avoided this in a sense. Also dealing with a lot of physical pain in her ribs and emotional pain. She said this destroyed her spirit, destroyed her happiness. Roberta recapped what she went through. She says she went outside to water her tomato plants around 5 a.m. on a Thursday in early June. She came back in, left her front door open, went straight to her bedroom to straighten everything up. That's when this man walked in the open front door and started attacking her.
like I've tried to forgive this guy in my heart and mind and soul, but you know, I know someday I'll be able to forgive him, but not now. I can't do it no matter what.
And the victims I have spoke with the last few weeks all tell me that in a way this has kind of destroyed their freedom. It's caged them in, boxed them in, because family and friends are constantly calling them, constantly checking in on them. It has changed their lives. Live in South Tulsa, Liz Bryant, 2 News works for you.
That is certainly understandable, Liz. Thanks. You know, it's been a crazy 4 weeks. With each attack, the serial attacker put more fear into Tulsans. Here's how it all unfolded. The first occurred near dawn Thursday, June 5th, in an apartment on 45th Place. 3 days later, about the same time of day, a woman in her late 60s was attacked in her home near 42nd in Detroit. Police say she was sexually assaulted and robbed. 3 days after that, at 9:30 p.m., police say that a woman in her mid-50s was raped in her home near 14th and Elwood. 1 day later, June 12th, another attack, this time a woman in her late 60s. About 2 in the morning, June 19th, police say that the serial attacker struck again. The victim, a woman in her mid-50s. The next night, about 3:30 a.m., a woman was attacked in her apartment near 45th Place in Norfolk. The final attack in the series happened in the early morning hours Sunday morning. Now, police say that an 8th attack may be connected to the case. Additional information on the locations of the attacks can be found on our interactive map. It's on our website. Check it out at kjrh.com. We continue our team coverage tonight in Brookside, where 2 News reporter Nathan Edwards spoke with women at a hair salon as they watched the news conference. Nathan, what's the reaction to the news today?
Well, they're relieved, Russ, and they hope that the attacks will finally stop now that there's a man in custody. For the last month, these crimes have been on everyone's mind, from the hairdressers to the women getting their hair cut. It's really been a community effort at Identity Salon to make sure everyone is safe. They've swapped safety tips, and they've even created a map of the attacks to keep everyone aware of the situation. Earlier this afternoon, they watched our 2 News coverage of the news conference and got a first look at the man that police say was terrorizing the community. And while they're happy an arrest is made, they still plan on being cautious in the coming months.
I'm still going to keep my precautions and be careful. You know, I definitely learned the hard way, you know, with seeing everything on the news to not go anywhere by myself and to keep the doors locked. And I mean, it's a relief that he's gone, but, you know, there's still men out there like that.
The women at the salon tell me that they still plan on having an increased security presence at the salon just for the next couple of weeks to be on the safe side. Coming up tonight at 6, I speak with another stylist that says this whole thing has changed her outlook on safety. Reporting live in Brookside, Nathan Edwards, 2 News works for you.
All right, Nathan, thanks. Now, police identified the suspect using their own resources, but still they give credit to citizens across Tulsa who tried to help. 2 News reporter Brandon Richards shows us why police say the citizens' involvement was not in vain. Brandon?
Well, Russ, the police chief says over the last few weeks, the task force received a lot of tips from citizens, and based on some of the information citizens were able to provide investigators, police able to stumble upon crimes that otherwise might have gone unnoticed. And it's pretty simple to see how involved citizens have been over the last few weeks. All you have to do is log on to social media, visit one of the Alert Neighbors Facebook pages, for instance, and there you can see people talking about the investigation, pointing out suspicious behavior they noticed in their neighborhoods, and even with the serial attack suspect identified and now no longer a threat, crime experts say it's important that that level of citizen involvement and awareness continues.
We need them to keep being vigilant, keep calling in, keep being aware, keep locking your doors and windows and turning on the lights and calling the police. You know, we can catch a lot and stop a lot of crime if we all work together.
And the Crime Prevention Network says over the last few weeks they've received a lot of calls and a lot of emails from folks interested in starting their own neighborhood watch programs. And they say it's really simple. They say all anyone has to do is just keep a close eye on what's happening in their neighborhood and then report any suspicious activity to police. We're live in downtown tonight. Brandon Richard, 2 News works for you.
All right, Brandon, thanks, and it does make a difference. Now, I want you to take a look at this. We've put together the OSBI sketch of the suspect and Campbell's mugshot from previous offenses. Now, there were a variety of descriptions of the suspect, who police say was wearing a mask during his attacks. New tonight on 2 News at 6, a look at the man's Facebook picture. Well, extensive coverage about the serial attacker continues on our website, including details about all the attacks and a map of where each attack happened. Just go online. You can find it at kjrh.com. One man is recovering in the hospital after being involved in an officer-involved shooting. We have the details about the early morning shooting, along with other things happening in your neighborhood. A storm shelter petition made its way to the state. How close it is to making it to the November ballot.
And it's an absolutely gorgeous afternoon over the Cherry Street district of Tulsa. How long can this gorgeous weather last? We'll talk about a heat wave on the way. You're watching 2 News, works for you at 5.
Continuing our reporting of Tulsa's serial attacker, 2 News brought you live coverage of a news conference as Tulsa police announced they have their suspect in a string of attacks plaguing the city for nearly a month. This is 30-year-old Desmond Campbell. In a live expanded team coverage since the top of our newscast, we told you that he was seriously injured in a car crash shortly after the alleged final attack on Sunday. We're working on all new coverage right now for 2 News at 6, including a look at Campbell's Facebook page and what's going on there right now. All right, now we'll look at other news happening in your neighborhood. The Cherokee Nation received a $3.7 million grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. It will add and expand several jobs for the vocational programs and help nearly 300 people re-enter the workforce. In Spavinaw, one teenager is dead and 2 others are in critical condition after police say was a night of drinking and driving. Early this morning, police say an intoxicated 16-year-old crashed his car near Indian Springs Road and Northeast 445th Drive. One of the 3 passengers was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver and other passengers were taken to St. Francis Hospital. An Okmulgee man is recovering tonight in a Tulsa hospital following an officer-involved shooting. The Okmulgee County Sheriff's Department says that a deputy and 2 Light Horse police officers shot 26-year-old Teddy Bearden after he became violent towards them. Deputies say they responded to a disturbance at a home in the county. They say that Bearden tried to run them over, and that's when officers opened fire. Bearden was flown to St. Francis Hospital with multiple gunshot wounds. And, of course, the biggest story tonight happening in our neighborhood is, of course, the new details about the serial attacker. Coming up at 6, we'll dive into more information about the suspect's criminal past. New at 5, the overhaul of the state's workers' compensation system is now in full swing, but that means that some court cases will be delayed this month as the court transitions to an administrative system. All the cases in Tulsa and Oklahoma City from July 21st to August 1st will be rescheduled. There is new voter registration numbers showing that the majority of voters in the state are still Democrats. The Oklahoma Election Board reports 44.3% registered as Democrats, while 43.4% registered as Republicans. Independents make up 12.3% of the nearly 2 million registered voters in our state. Airport security working even harder to protect air travelers. There is now new fear that al-Qaeda terrorists are refining bombs to avoid detection at airports. This is prompting the Department of Homeland Security to step up their security screenings, including at Tulsa International. Although airports are focusing on the safety of passengers, an actual threat has not been released.
I would be mindful of the fact that there is probably increased risk. I don't think it's dramatically different. I wouldn't not fly. And the good news here is that the government sharing information with others in other parts of the world is responding to this.
Well, passengers should expect more screenings of electronics and shoes and extra screenings at the boarding gates. A petition to build storm shelters in public schools is now in compliance with state law. Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt made the ruling for the ballot title regarding the initiative. Organizers now have 90 days to collect 155,000 voter signatures to get that measure on the November ballot. This initiative is in response to the tornado that destroyed schools in Moore last year. Of course, 7 children died. Taking a live look at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now, people living on the East Coast are preparing for evacuations as Hurricane Arthur approaches. This video from this morning in North Carolina. You can see the dark, ominous clouds. Take a look at that. And they aren't just upsetting the locals. Disappointed vacationers having to pack up and join a long parade of traffic leaving the beaches.
I am really worried about the drive. We should have been on the road last night. Now I'm looking at this parade of cars going by, and I'm thinking those are all the cars that I'm going to be sitting behind on the bridge trying to get off the island. It really worries me.
Although the vacationers are sad to leave soon, most of them agree it's not worth going up against a hurricane. And a hurricane warning is in effect along North Carolina's Outer Banks, but things should be all clear by Saturday.
Storm Shield weather, certified most accurate.
And good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, by Saturday, this storm is northeast of Boston, headed up toward Nova Scotia. This is a live picture from Wilmington, North Carolina, where the conditions have deteriorated here within the last hour. I've been watching this camera. The eye of the hurricane right now about 42 miles southeast of Wilmington. So if it gets a little bit closer to Wilmington, that camera will continue to get grayer and the heavier rain bands will continue to come in. It looks like it skirts the Outer Banks and heads out to sea. Gets stronger as a Category 2 hurricane. Right now the winds maxed out at 90 miles an hour. Back here in Green Country, we've got a beautiful day, a beautiful afternoon. Sunshine, high pressure up to the northeast, no threat of rain right on through the holiday weekend. In fact, if we take a look at Saturday in Tulsa, mostly sunny, 91 degrees for the high. If you're traveling, Dallas, 94. Kansas City, chance for some morning thunderstorms, 83. Little Rock and St. Louis, both in the lower 80s. Absolutely pleasant. If you're going to camp out Saturday night, 10 p.m., 78 degrees, 73 by 1 a.m., 72 at 4 a.m., and as you break camp 9 a.m. Sunday morning, already up to 83 degrees as things are really going to heat up. We look down over Cherry Street in Tulsa. Looks absolutely gorgeous from our downtown camera. Temperature, how about that? A pleasant 82 degrees. North wind 6 miles an hour. The dew point 56. That's incredibly low for this time of the year in Green Country in northeastern Oklahoma. And that's thanks to this high pressure system here sending us this northeasterly wind. So right now McAllister at 84, Fort Smith's at 84. Oklahoma City at 85 and Ponca City right now at 83 degrees. Overnight tonight, look for lows in Bartlesville again, down to 55. We had some 40s this morning up over northeastern Oklahoma around Veneta. 58 Coffeyville, 61 in Pryor tonight, 62 at Muskogee, 63 Okmulgee, and 65 at McAllister. Your detailed 24-hour forecast. So this evening, absolute perfection. A nice evening. By 10 p.m., we're still at 72 degrees. Then 61, cool again. Magnificent tomorrow with temperatures climbing into the upper 80s. And I think when it's all said and done, it'll be more like it. Right around 90 in Tulsa tomorrow. 89 at Okmulgee, 88 at Bristow, 87 at Tahlequah, 86 at Coffeyville, and 89 down at McAllister. Speaking of McAllister, tomorrow night, fireworks down there at the Expo Center, 76. Scheduled to start at dusk, so around 9:45. It'll be somewhat humid with a southeast wind at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Our 7-day forecast, look for a high temperature Saturday, 91, 94 on Sunday. And if I think 3 days in a row of at least 94 or better, so I'd say the heat wave starts Sunday, lasts Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and finally a cold front nears on Thursday. A 30% chance for showers and thunderstorms. And Russ, we just break the heat just a little bit. I guess 92 by that time will feel cooler when we've been in the mid and upper 90s most of next week.
Yeah, the heat is definitely coming. All right, Brett, thanks. You know, today the new jobs report was released from the Department of Labor. We have new numbers on how many jobs were added in June, plus combining an art gallery with a bar. A new concept downtown that also encourages your inner Picasso. That's on the list at 6:30. New at 5, job seekers have something to celebrate today. The latest jobs report from the Department of Labor shows that the U.S. economy added 288,000 jobs in June. June marks 5 straight months that employers have added about 200,000 jobs or more. The last time that happened, 1999. The report also shows a slight drop in unemployment, down from 6.1% in May. Now today the Dow finally hit 17,000. The market crossed that mark this morning after a whole week of tiptoeing on the line. This is the first time that's ever happened, and it comes 6 months after the Dow crossed 16,000. Well, tomorrow is the 4th of July, but you can start celebrating tonight, where you can go to catch some food, fun, and fireworks. You're watching 2 News Works for you at 5. We continue to follow a breaking news update. Tulsa police say they have a suspect for the serial attacks. They say Desmond Campbell's the suspect, and he's in the hospital right now. Coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, we'll continue our extensive team coverage about Campbell and all the details of the attacks that have happened over the past month.